I'm Doug McKenzie.
And I'm John Ward.
And we're the co-hosts of the ABCs of IBC podcast.
Come join us as we share our unique perspective on the infinite banking concept as the creator, Nelson Nash, intended.
Hello, hello.
Happy Friday, if you're listening on Friday, by the way.
Happy day. Yeah.
That's right. If you're not, happy day, whatever day of the week.
Yeah.
You could guess.
We're going to be a few days from Christmas, whatever day, if they get to it early, right?
Hopefully that's true. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's crazy.
Well, I mean,
I had a coworker a while back. It was awful. She would say, she would do this starting in January, and she would just pop up like at random points and go like 22 paychecks until Christmas. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Because we were paid bi-weekly.
God, that's too funny.
It was crazy. She'd do the whole year. So, yeah. And there's something about, I think as I get older, it seems like it's Christmas again so quickly. I don't know how it happens. Like the time seems to go by very quickly.
Yeah. There's, now as you get older, you realize what the older people always told us when we were younger, that life really speeds up. And you recognize it by birthdays and holidays, and you're like, we're here again, or we're in this season again. Like, oh wow, okay, it's cold. And was in shorts for a bunch of months. So
yes,
amazing.
I measure my years by policy premium dates now.
Of course you do.
But sort of, a little bit.
That's great.
So, everything good, by the way, John? Everything good on your end?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, everything's, lucky guy, as they say. Yep. So.
Amen to that.
How about yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. Everything's pretty good. So.
Yeah. I don't know if we've actually, obviously when somebody gets this, you're going to see that we settled on it and what we're thinking about for a title. I want to make sure people aren't thinking this is self-serving, right? Like, well, what are you looking for in an agent? That kind of thing.
Yes.
But, we definitely feel like you shouldn't be with people that pressure you. That's for one thing, that.
Yes.
You should be wanting to do this and own it and live it and, and love the person you're working with, so that, because you probably have many conversations with them even after your policy's implemented, right? I have many conversations with my clients, and I enjoy the heck out of it, right? Because I really, it's kind of a deeper bond than most business relationships. And I say most, right? Of course, people have very deep relationship, personal in a sense, right? And it does become personal. It's a very intimate business, I think. So.
Well, it can be. And there's a lot of times where it's not, maybe it's perhaps not reciprocated correctly, like from, an agent's end or things like that. But yes, I agree with you, John. Like it should be, because it's going to be a lifelong relationship. By the way, like John alluded to, we sat down and kind of wrote down a list of characteristics of what our listeners should be looking for in an agent should they choose to move forward with practicing the infinite banking concept. Just because we thought it was important. There's a lot of info out there on the internet. Some of it's not great. There are a lot of insurance agents that may tell you that they could help you design a policy to practice this. They might not be too familiar with it. And we wanted to just set our listeners up with a good set of parameters that they could go by.
Yeah. And I say, those that aren't authorized practitioners, I say there's always a minority of people that are just excellent that are not authorized practitioners of the Nelson Nash Institute, IBC practitioners. And, so I don't want to, I'm not knocking everybody, but there's a majority that would say that they can help you with this. And they're just really not students. I think, they're not students of the business necessarily. And so in this niche, it helps because they're just not one-off clients that they have. All our clients are, practicing infinite banking, and over time, our knowledge base gets bigger because we're experiencing our own policies, but we're experiencing our clients' use of their policies, and there's a lot to share, including people that are like, am I making a mistake, right? Am I, like you went through, right? I personally never went through that. Like, I didn't think I was making a mistake, though I've made many. This was not one of them. And so, yeah, we can help people because we really live this. And if you're trying to really do and live the infinite banking concept, then that's number one. I think you really should certainly know that this person understands the power of the concept. Whether
Yeah, and
not,
they have to, I would say that they should absolutely have a policy or policies in place as well. So, I personally would not recommend, working with somebody that is not living this themselves. And so they may be uninsurable, but, maybe have other insurable interests. So I would not recommend working with an agent that does not have specifically designed whole life policies to be implemented with IBC. That would be, like you're saying, that would be my first thing, right?
right. Oh, I think that was a great point, right?
Yeah.
Because recently, last episode, I brought up Barry Dyke, Pirates of Manhattan. I was going to say Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody should get Johnny Depp as their agent.
Pirates of Manhattan, Barry, and then of course Brian Bloom, Confessions of a CPA. These guys aren't authorized IBC practitioners, and they understand the concept of, So again, you really have to understand, and these guys do own their own policies. Many
Yeah.
of them, right? So they're living this.
And that is absolutely the most important requirement.
I agree.
And, they'll ask you that too when you're trying to become an NI practitioner is, do you do this? Do you have experience with it? Do you do this in your own life?
Yeah.
Which brings us to our second recommendation. And like John said, I think that the first thing that we mentioned is far more important, but we do recommend going with an NNI practitioner just because you've had an organization that vetted these people already. It required money, training, education, time investment to be associated with the Nelson Nash Institute. And they do vet the people that work with them pretty carefully. So just doing that alone, you're really setting yourself like in a good direction to start. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, John, but I think that it's a pretty safe bet for people to go that way. I mean, obviously, as an NNI practitioner, I do think that, but before I was a practitioner, it was very important for me to get, our first policies through an NNI practitioner.
Oh yeah, for me too. I happen to be that.
Well, so I guess from my perspective, right, like when I started out, I found agencies like on YouTube that were talking about IBC and all these like flashy videos and blah, blah, blah. And
yeah,
I was hearing different info and conflicting information. And at the end of the day, I finally discovered the NNI and I said to myself, why would I not want to go to the source?
Same. Yeah.
And that's why they created this, is to have a good place where people can know that they're going to get solid advice, good info, be connected with vetted agents so that this is practiced in alignment with kind of what Nelson was talking about in his book. So I do think it's a very safe place for almost anybody to start, and I would recommend that.
Yeah, I do think that they, at times, some may start out being a practitioner and they end up leaving because they, I don't know, they're not getting enough out of their membership. they feel, maybe they think they can do things better. They start to learn things that they think, they can dilute the message. Um, and that's a personal decision. Um, but this is ridiculously simple, as Nelson said. It's not easy, but it is simple. It's a simple concept. It's just different, right? We've said that over and over. And, tweaking it and trying to make it something different, and many people get outside of understanding what this is, right? This is creating this banking alternative, this banking system that you can create in your own life and keep control and the flow of the money in your direction, not, having all that resistance with the headwinds. And so it's just, that's why we called this the ABCs of IBC, right? We wanted to really talk about IBC in infinite banking and keep it there, because that alone allows you to do so much more. And, but if we could just get that done to help people set themselves up again, I probably have said it, but say it again, Doug, right? It's the foundation of your financial life.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. And my brother likes to say it's the bedrock, but it's the same idea. It's like it's so solid, right? And that's, do everything else you want to do and make good decisions. You're going to do whatever you're going to do, but give yourself that leg up, and it's a major leg up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, absolutely. Well said. Well said. I don't even have anything to add to that.
I guess that's a wrap.
So, like John alluded to earlier, it is a lifetime commitment. I mean, you could always change your agent, I guess, but I don't know that, new agents might not necessarily be amenable to that. You want to like your agent, or at least like working with them. Because ideally, if you understand the infinite banking concept and you're in this for the long haul and you have this policy for the rest of your life and you're capitalizing this for many decades and utilizing it again for the rest of your life, it's going to be the same agent. And you want it to be somebody that you respect, that you feel comfortable taking advice from, that you want to be friends with. And I think that aspect gets overlooked pretty frequently.
Yeah, it's funny the way mine works, right? I think I heard once that people said, that infinite banking, those infinite banking people, those practitioners, it's like a cult, right? And one of the benefits, obviously, if you went with an authorized practitioner, is you found them at the Nelson Nash Institute website, the infinitebanking.org website. And there's a couple hundred of us anyways. I've never counted them, but that are on the site. If you were doing the practitioner finder, you're going to probably find there's a couple hundred of us or more in the country, and a few hundred anyway. So, you're going to be connected to that world. If there's new stuff coming out or better explanations, I mean, there is a lot of information on that website that if you're thinking about this, you don't just need to go to YouTube. You can go there and you're going to find a lot of great information. And the other thing is, if there isn't some sort of succession plan, like what happens if something happens to Doug or I, and you're our client, who's going to take over? Obviously, the insurance company is still your connection, but you want to have your coach, right? And you could go with who your agent said, if I do pass away or incapacitated, this is the new coach, right? And it's another practitioner. But of course, you can go and research. And many of these guys, they would do it even if you weren't their client, I bet, right? They're still going to coach you. They're still going to talk with you, right? Because honestly, they probably know there's generations behind you, right? So if they can help you and not even, making a living doing it. They love talking about it. So that's another benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that, yeah, you're going to want that, how do I take, this next step if something does happen to my agent? So I look at it like, well, this thing of being a cult, Doug, the
Oh, you
one
didn't
thing
know
I
we're
can
in a
say is,
cult?
what's that?
You didn't know we're in a cult?
Well, yeah, well, maybe I am, but it's
I'm
a
just
it's a
kidding. I'm
it's
just
a
kidding.
pretty flexible cult, right? Because cults
Yeah,
usually
no,
mean that
definitely not a cult.
these are the rules and this is the way you're going to live, and everybody's, in agreement that this is the way it's going to be, right?
Yep.
And we don't want to go outside, and that's why we don't like it if people aren't authorized and they're talking about infinite banking. Well, personally, I don't really see it that way. I look at it like there's so many people that were in the financial services industry selling mutual funds, 401ks, pensions, whatever it may be. They've been doing this for 40 years, and this concept has really been promoted since 2000, right? When the book came out, right? So, they spent 20 years. I'll use one person's name. She's not a practitioner now, but her name's Kim Butler. And I remember her saying that the day she realized what she had been doing with her clients, uh, prior to finding out about the infinite banking concept, but also really reviewing, because, she had roughly 20 years of, hey, what does really happen to these people's, portfolios, right? Whether it be in mutual funds or, 401ks, whatever I've been promoting to them, because I've been trained by these other people that, have an agenda, and, it was about them making money. I mean, that's when I talk about the books, there's so many books that'll tell you, it's about the people that are selling you the products. Those are the ones making all the money, right? They really are. I mean, Wall Street's where the money is really made. And
Oh yeah.
and so she literally said, like, I really had to look inside and say, this isn't working. These numbers are not playing out for people. And she flipped her business upside down. She had like 400 clients at the time, and she had to go to each client and tell them what she had learned. So, this idea of a cult, I say, if any group of people were to make a change, it would be this group of people, right? If there was something better that came along. I don't know what that is. I'm just saying, these are the types of people that would actually make the move if they thought there was something better for their clients, right? Because it would just be an evolution for them. They would say, oh, yeah, I used to think, selling all this stuff was great. Then I found, like, oh my God, this is like flipping everything upside down and so much better for my clients. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time trying to, well, not the rest of the time, but sometime unwinding what I've been doing for maybe a decade or two. And then I'm going to, like, have to coach them. Who would do that except for people that know that the other system didn't work? It wasn't about lining their pockets. It was about, how can I actually say I'm serving these people when I know there's something better for them? So I think that they would flip. So you kind of want to be attached to this kind of person. And I'm not saying they're only authorized practitioners, but I can tell you the authorized practitioners, a majority of them are like that. They would be the right people to be connected with, to say if there's a new alternative, well, they're going to tell you about it, even if there's egg on their faces, right? Because you know why? Because they're going to do it in their own lives.
Yeah. Good point, John.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're making a lifelong commitment to this, you definitely want to be in it with people that you want to be in it with. I know that sounds like a Yogi Berra statement, but you
Love it.
you want to be involved with somebody that has your best interest in mind and is going to be able to kind of walk the path with you. Because that at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. And I actually learn quite a bit from my clients. It's a fun journey. And I know you are good friends with a lot of your clients and have really formed some good relationships that way. And there are people that kind of treat this process as though they would buying a car. They go get a bunch of quotes and they try to find whatever looks the best and go with that. And you could do that. I would not recommend doing that. I think that it is far more important. I think at the end of the day that can be kind of a moot point. And I think it's a lot more important to work with the agent that is going to be the best fit for you in your life and help you to best adhere to this strategy. Because I think what I've seen too is people that don't really know what they're getting into are much more likely to lapse their policy after a few years.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't understand something, you're going to let it go because you don't see the benefit, right? I mean, I gave up a policy probably in my late 20s. And it was only $80 a month. It was probably a universal life, but yeah, I gave it up because I thought of it as life insurance. I've kind of shared this already, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so you want to, and that's why we're patient too. And that's why you want a patient agent before they become your agent, right? Which is, they're patient. They're going to talk to you. They give their time freely to you because they do like talking about it, but they also know that it takes, like everything, it takes different people, different amounts of time to process, and they've got other things going on, and they're juggling a lot of things. And we want you to feel like, oh, I'm in on this, and I can say, I'm sure when they fund the first premium, some of my clients, I think they were all in, but they didn't know what they were all into. And sometimes they, come back and we have a conversation and they're like, oh, thank you for that. Right. Because kind of recalibrated me, right? You brought me back around to understand what I really did. And oh, by golly, I did make a really good decision. Like, well, now I'm kind of excited again, but at first, yeah, they might have times, but you want to have somebody who's there for you, basically, is what it comes down to. And I mean, really there for you. Like, hey, they'll talk to you. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to talk to people on Saturday and Sunday, but because I don't have much of a life.
No, I don't have
it.
any limits on when my clients can talk to me at all. I mean, I said, call me anytime. If I can't get back to you right then, I'll call you back soon. And I remember back in the day, I had a financial advisor and, the amount that I would pay him every year went up as our assets grew or went down, but, and I only had it was specified times, like once a quarter that we would chat. Right. And that was it. And, this is a very different relationship from that. It should be, in my opinion. I don't know of any agents that do charge for time to chat, but we certainly don't. And it's kind of a unique thing about this, is that it feels like more of a genuine relationship because it is than something where you're like, you want to talk? Well, you're gonna have to pay for that. Nope.
Well, yeah, back to what you said, that I am very friendly and definitely friends as time goes on, more and more deeper friendships with my clients. And so that's why, I don't really look at it like work hours, and I know you don't either. It's, if we can take the call at any time, we're going to take the call. We're not, I'm not saying other agents aren't like that. I'm just saying that that's the kind of agent that you want.
Absolutely.
Is somebody that, hey, I've been thinking about something. If you've got the time, could we talk, or can you answer this question? And it doesn't matter if it's, 8:00 on a Sunday night or 8:00 on a Saturday morning, and everything in between, because I kind of look at it like, oh, good, they're thinking about this. I mean, if I get a question, that's a great sign because they're really thinking about their policies. They're thinking about scenarios. They're right. And then,
Yeah.
it's an honor to have people reach out to you and want to, get your thoughts on things. Right. And we don't, like you said, we don't have all the answers, but we certainly will have the conversation, and we're going to learn too. So, it's not like, hey, our way or the highway kind of thing. It's a collaboration in many ways, because we're all implementing this in our lives. So,
Absolutely.
all right.
Well, John, until next time, and it was a pleasure talking with you as always.
Merry Christmas to you and your family. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the ABCs of IBC.
If you enjoyed listening, please hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen. It really helps. See you next week.
Bye.